So I won't be here tomorrow, so there'll be a video. So, chapter 8, there will be homework that will be done, take a look at, and then we'll do it the following day. As long as you're here, you're getting the points for it. If you're not here, make sure you watch the video or copy it down from a friend so you can get the points for it. And I think we have a quiz or 2 or 3. I'm just kidding. Let's see, 2. Yeah, my hope is to get pretty close to being done with chapter 8 and having a quiz at the end of chapter 8, similar to what we've been doing. And then your final is one question. Everyone gets a different question, and it's multiple choice. If you get it right, you get a 90% for the final exam grade. If you get it wrong, you get 80% for the final exam grade. So, that shouldn't be the worst. They told us we had to give, everyone has to get a final. It's teacher's discretion how they give it. So I figured one whole question, everyone gets a different one. Some of you might get one as easy as find the mean of these 3 numbers. It's just all part of the roll of the dice. But it comes out of the chapters from second semester, so.
Or what if they picked out of the hat which problem we were doing? Like it can say question 1 and then or question 7 or whatever.
I gotcha. Maybe. Pretty cool. Alright. So chapter 8. This is bias and random sampling. And this is really where when we hear statistics, get statistics rammed down our throats, this is so much what they've done wrong. Alright, so on page 59, they say that they want to know the population of interest. Population of interest is an entire group we wish to study. So if we wanted to do a random survey of all high school seniors in the United States, that our population of interest would be all seniors in high school across the United States. But the thing is, I can't do a census of all the seniors across the United States because it would be really hard and really expensive to reach everybody to get it. So then we have a sample, which is a subset of the population that we study. Now, the subset, our sample, if we had a population of interest and we were going by all seniors, high school in the United States, okay? If I did a sample, this is what you have to make sure, that every senior throughout the United States, if I was taking a sample of them, every senior would have the same opportunity to be selected to be part of the sample. Now, it doesn't mean that they do it. They do the survey that's given to them, but everyone has the same opportunity to being selected. Okay? A lot of times they're like, oh, it'd be great if we just got one senior from every state in the United States, so that'd be 50 seniors total. No. It's like if you went and you wanted to have a random sample of, say, 100 seniors throughout the United States, and you got 30 of them to respond, you would put that in your study that we randomly selected 100 seniors throughout the United States. 30 of them actually did the survey, and then there's different things that take place during the survey. We've all been given a survey of some sort in our lives. Okay? Now, sometimes it becomes something you might be interested in, so you have a little bit better vested interest in it. And then there's times where the survey starts becoming too long. Like you're getting bored. So there's some sort of comfort zone that you would be able to get a good thing. So, hello, how are you? Good. With a yawn. And we're on page 59. So, it's important that chosen sample be a representative sample. This is the middle of page 59. The population can be diverse in a great many ways. If everyone in the population of interest should have a fair chance to be in the sample, if this is not the case, the sample will most certainly not be representative of the sample. So you have bias. So systematic tendency of sampling method is over or under predicted. All right, so let me ask you this. Let's say I want to collect data and I create a sample of, say, 100 randomly selected high school students throughout the United States that are seniors. Do you feel it would be fair if we had chosen to use cell phones as the way to select the people?
No.
No, why not?
Because there's parts of the United States where like they don't have cell phone service or.
Okay. Cell phone service. Not everyone, even though everyone here at Creek has a cell phone, there are places that they don't have them. They, you might have some kids that have them, but it's just not, whether it's because of religious purposes, whether it's just, it could be Amish. The Amish only have to go to school through 8th grade, which then brings up another thing. If the Amish only have to go to school up through 8th grade, and we're trying to do high school seniors, you're not getting that information from the Amish people, unless their child has gone beyond 8th grade. But I would imagine there are some very, very poor places in the United States that cell phones don't exist for the students. So it'd be really hard to say 100% of the seniors across the United States, senior in high school across the United States, all have a cell phone. So it seems like a good thing because you look around your sample and you know that pretty much everyone you know has a cell phone. Okay? So there is some bias that takes place. Hello. Hello. Boom. Boom.
What up, big game?
What's happening? Where's Tiny?
I don't know.
Was you guys gonna watch him?
We didn't see him.
Okay.
He disappeared.
Oh, I know where he's at.
Where?
He got surgery today.
Oh, does
What's
he?
he have surgery for?
Oh, he's getting wisdom teeth out, isn't he?
Something like that.
No.
Alright, we're on page 59 if you wanted to join. Alright, so in the real world, bias is considered a form of unfair treatment or manipulation.
Well, now we know.
In the statistical world, it means that something a little less insidious, it simply refers to the method of data collection that consistently is either over or under predicts something we are trying to estimate. Okay, so here's an example. This goes away from what we were talking about with high school seniors. It says, for example, hello. Good to see you. If we are conducting a survey to see who favors raising taxes for public school education, and I stand at a local grocery store and ask people that pass by, and my results consistently show that 37% of the people I survey outside this one particular grocery store favor raising taxes for public school education, but they actually know when they've done the vote for it that 53 actually favor public education. So think of this. If I wanted to go over here to this King Soopers, and it's me myself, and I'm trying to select people as they come in to the grocery store, because someone might decide everybody needs groceries, therefore everyone's going to go to the grocery store. Do you feel that the grocery store over here would be a fair representation of everybody in the county, Arapahoe County?
No.
No.
Maybe in Arapahoe County, not the country.
Right, I'm just saying Arapahoe County. Because you would be voting on taxes for more of the county. Would it be fair if that King Soopers was over there, I only collected data from those people, and I said I want to apply this to the entire state? And that's not fair either. And then, it just keeps going bigger and bigger. So, though you might have seen, hello, we're on page 59, you get a chance. Though you might have seen as you walk into a grocery store, there's somebody out there with a clipboard and they're approaching you, and you might be a person like me who doesn't make eye contact with them and just ignores that they're saying anything, I just keep walking by. But they're trying to collect data based on certain things. Hey, would you favor this? And a lot of times those are just getting enough signatures for a certain thing to be put on the ballot. Those aren't necessarily a sampling thing to get anything. So it says, the neighborhood store, you know, I could go to a King Soopers, buy a retirement community, and I can tell you that retirement communities don't wanna raise taxes. Why would I wanna raise taxes for those kids? I'm old. Well, because those kids deserve just as good of an education as you, an old person. But I have a friend of mine who I went to college with, her name's Rebecca. She has been a high school math teacher in Surprise, Arizona. Surprise, Arizona is a huge retirement community. And a couple years ago, I had asked her, I said, you know, we went out, we had pizza, we were just chit-chatting, it's like, you know, how much you making? You've been teaching as long as I. She goes, I just signed my contract for $53,000. I'm looking at her, I said, are you serious? She, yeah. She, how much you making? And at the time, I had just broken 100,000. She goes, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, we teach the exact same math to kids, and I almost make double what she makes. And
You
it's
should look
because,
into moving maybe.
huh? Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, but then, you know, if you have schools in a certain area, those schools in the area, they do indeed need teachers if you have students there. Okay, page 60. Bias can emerge from a non-representative sample. Our best defense against bias is random sampling. If you don't want bias, random sampling has to take place. If you don't have random sampling, you're creating bias. It's going to lean one way or the other. Okay? Random sampling is any sampling method in which everyone, hey, James, I'm on page 60. Random sampling is any sampling method in which everyone in the population has an equal chance to participate in the research. Random sampling is inherently unbiased and gives the entire population, with all of the diversity it has, a chance to be represented. Of course, random samples produce variability. So, if I do a random sample, a certain way that everyone has the same chance, and then I do another random sample trying to collect the same data where everyone has an equal chance of being picked, then you produce variability. So no two samples will be alike. No two samples will produce identical outcomes. If we conduct a survey to see whether people favor raising taxes for public school education, if I ask two people, I could easily obtain 0%. If I just, you know, interviewed two people, I could get 0% support, I could get 1 out of 2 or 50% with support, or I could get 100% with support. Okay? Yeah, I realize we've been dealing with the T-score and the T, you know, we've been dealing with degrees of freedom with the T-values, which you could go as small as, you know, 1 is degree of freedom. But I mean, would you really trust a survey that said, hey, we surveyed 2 people? It'd be really hard to do. I mean, it's not going to make the news. It's not going to be, you know, you have certain groups out there that want to try and sway public opinion one way or the other. What's the best way that you guys are swaying opinions of other people right now?
It's not Garrett expensive.
Let me ask you guys, how are you swaying public opinion? You all have done it, or you've been swayed. How is it? Social media. Is social media entirely true? No, but you get the sway of people, right? Okay? So that's what you have to be really cautious about is, yeah, there's going to be things that you see on social media that you're like, oh, that's messed up. And you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's really bad. I had a friend of mine in Arizona. His name's Brandon, and he was in the Marines for a long time, and now he does construction of homes and paints homes and paints fences and builds pools. He just does all the jack of all trades. And he said, "Yo, you're buying a new house?" And I told him, "Yeah." And I said, and he's like, "Oh, you know, who's the builder?" I told him who the builder was. And he said, "Oh, you don't want to use that builder. You know, there's a guy down here in Arizona that had $1 million house built, and everything was messed up on his house, and the builder had to pay a lot of money to refund his money on that particular house. And I said, Brandon, I understand you're in the construction trade, but you gave me one example you heard of out of millions of these homes that have been built.
Rose built 1 million houses in his life.
No, but a builder, a large nationwide builder, Yeah.
Like a company.
yeah, a company that has built a house.
Okay, I thought you said like one man.
No, oh no, he's not that talented. He's talented, but he ain't that talented. So, those are a few things that take place, and my board is not grabbing onto this right now for some reason. Alright, well, we'll have to go to just writing on the board. Alright, whiteboard. Hello.
How's it going?
Doing well, good to see you. Alright, so our best defense against variability is large sample sizes. So watch out for the small sample sizes. Okay, yes, we do have tests that we will use that will incorporate degrees of freedom. Okay, the last stuff we did with chi-squared tests are usually skewed right. Okay, when you look at it. But it's still something that if that's our only line of defense to use for statistics, we use it, and we can make conclusions based off of it, and that's fine. But then it becomes itself, can I question if this is actually right or wrong? Okay, so the population parameter is a measurable characteristic of the population. Okay, the population parameter is like the average of the population. We know it's someplace, so our population parameter, and we've talked about this before, it's kind of like the mean of the population, but not sure exact value of this. Okay, we think it's somewhere in a particular range. It's not exactly, 71%. It's like, well, it's 71%, and then we get into the plus or minus 5. So we're 90% confident it's correct. It's things like that. The sample statistic is a measure characteristic of the sample. It's calculated for estimating the population parameter. So if we have the sample parameter, okay, if I collect data, I get data, I can find a mean from that data. Okay, is that mean going to relate back to this? And the answer is, we talked about this a few chapters ago, you might collect your data where you have a mean that falls within this range, and then you collect it with this range, then 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 this range, and I don't mean to get bigger or smaller. Okay, so somehow,
Sorry.
yeah.
Is the sample parameter the same thing as the sample statistic?
Yeah, which goes invariably with the sample mean. Okay, so basically, with this, if I kind of draw a horizontal line, oops, I don't know how that happened. If I draw a horizontal line, trying to draw a horizontal line. If I draw that horizontal line, hello, good to see you. Hopefully, that line would be more of the population parameter, and we're getting that population parameter from the sample parameter, and it's probably somewhere within that green line. But again, we're not quite sure. We don't know. We might not ever know what the population parameter is. We know it's right around this region, but it'd be really kind of foolish for somebody to say, I know what the population parameter exactly is. Okay, if you hear that kind of lingo, or you read that kind of lingo, put a big question mark with it. And I've been in meetings where they're like, oh, we know that this is the average. It's like, how do you know? Well, it is. That's not an argument. Well, it is not an argument. Prove to me how you got that information. Because if you can't prove to me that this information is a population parameter, you can't say it. But unfortunately, people, they want to get into the nuh-uh, yeah-huh argument. And who wins that argument? Whoever said nuh-uh or yeah-huh last. Okay, but that's not statistically sound. But I was just in that meeting a couple weeks ago. I mean, the guy Yeah, here's the data that shows that this works. They started the data in 2020 and showed an upward trend over the next 4 years till 2023. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. And they were waiting on their data for 2024. They showed an upward trend since we were all closed down for COVID. And it's like, dude, every school in the United States or anywhere in the world can show an upward trend in test scores since COVID. But he was, no, this is it. Look, data doesn't lie. It's like, well, data doesn't lie because it's an inanimate object. People lie. People massage their data to try and get to what they want to influence their their audience to hear. Okay? So finally, two terms that we introduced. Population parameter, measurable characteristic population. Usually this is unknown sample statistic. A measurable characteristic of the sample. This is calculated from the purposes of estimating the population parameter. For example, a researcher may be studying the percent of all Denver residents that use the city biking trails. A survey of 50 Denver residents shows 28% use Denver biking trails. Well, they have 50 people they sampled. It doesn't say that it was a random sample, but where were they collecting this data? Did they go out and stand on the edge of the biking trail saying, "Sir, do you live in Denver?" "Yeah." "Do you use the trails?" "Well, obviously I'm on it." "Okay. Person in Denver uses trail." Okay, that's a really bad way to collect data. You go to the source of what people are using, say, "Oh, look, these people use it." Well, what about the person who sat in their basement playing video games for the past 17 years and hasn't even come outside yet? How are you going to reach that person? Okay, go through their video game and say, "Hey." So the population parameter is the percentage of all Denver residents that use city biking trails. The sample statistic is 28%, which is our percentage of our sample that uses biking trails. In the researchers' hope, they hope the sample statistic is a good estimate of the population parameter. So again, do you trust that 28% of people in Denver use the biking trails? I don't know. One, we're looking at it. It doesn't say as how they collected the data. What resource did they go door to door knocking on doors? Did they do phone calls for the Denver area? What happens with phone calls? Well, a lot of us have that person named potential spam who's calling our phone. Do we answer it? No. Who answers the phone when it says potential spam?
Idiots.
People like my dad, who's an idiot. You got
Me.
that right. Okay.
Idiots.
Now,
My point proven.
when it comes to summer, I actually will answer because I start getting bored, and I start just acting like, "Are you my dad?" "Sir, I'm here." I'm calling. My dad's calling me. He left years ago. And I just sit there and be a total jackass to people on the phone because I find humor in that. Okay, but oh my gosh, my dad, old people, they will answer their phone anytime. Why? They're lonely. They're hoping their kids are calling. They hope all those things take place, but does it really mean it's statistically significant, especially if you are preying upon people who will answer the phone to gain your statistics versus this is a cell phone owned by a 14-year-old kid. 14-year-old kid, they're checking social media. What's this phone ringing stuff? I just want social media. Okay? I don't answer my phone from my phone. I have a phone, but I don't answer my phone. The phone's dumb. It's like, well, you can't collect data that way. I mean, there's just different ways to collect data. What's the best way to do it? I don't know. I would say it changes drastically. Before caller ID, phone sampling was actually a really good thing. I mean, there was a time where you'd actually have to answer the phone to find out who the heck called. Okay, it didn't tell you what the phone number was. Didn't tell you. Nowadays, if it's in your phone, it'll tell you, mom's calling or dad's calling or cousin John's calling. I mean, nowadays we know exactly who's calling. Okay, potential spam, we don't answer. Okay, again, unless you're this guy who's bored during the summer and sweet, someone's calling me. Okay, boredom is a hard thing, but boredom, unfortunately, are the people a lot of times statistics are collecting data from. Do you want the person who is absolutely bored in life, who doesn't have a hobby, hasn't figured out how to entertain themselves other than waiting with their phone in their hand, going, come on, someone call, someone call, someone call. Okay? We get all of the solicitations in mail. We get the door hangers on our door if we don't live in an HOA community that, you know, they just come and solicit. I got like so many different types of internet services that are offered in my old neighborhood. You know, hey, you should use ours. We're at, you know, 16.7 gigahertz, and you're like, I don't even know what that means. It's like, it's really fast. You'll never drop a thing. Well, I don't drop anything now in my own home. Well, yeah, but you need this because it won't drop anything. Again, my internet's not dropping anything. You know, I could stream a television show on Netflix or Hulu or any of the other streaming services, and I can watch the whole thing just fine. Oh, but this is better. How's it better when it's working for me? Oh, you don't understand. Things are getting, you know, if you get that, you know, 9,000K TV, it won't work with your internet, you know, as your streaming services. And it's like, I'm going to call bull on this. Okay? Few summers back, we had, and I'm sure you guys have had this as well, there was a new internet company who was going through and they were wrecking people's yards to put their fiber optics down. It's a company called Ting. I'm sure some of you might have Ting as your internet provider. Well, when did Ting come through my front yard? Middle of summer. Guy's going to pull this huge tractor into the middle of my yard, my grass yard, to pull the cable across. I'm like, you don't have my permission to be in my yard. No, we do. This is right of way. No, right of way is 3 feet from the sidewalk. My yard goes up another 30 feet to my house, and you're going to have your tractor within that 30 feet to my house. Oh, we have permission. No, you don't. Called my lawyer. My lawyer came over, said no. Filed this work stoppage. Ting did all kinds of things that jacked up my neighborhood, might have done things jacked up your neighborhood. One thing they did is they cut the cable line. Okay? By law, if you go through and you sever a line, if you're cutting something, your immediate thing is to call and say, hey, this was done. Ting in my neighborhood hit our cable line that I knew of. They hit an electric power line underground, and they never called about it. Each one of those was a $50,000 fine to the drilling company. And I'm looking at the guy going, dude, do it right. I also got a thing through the city of Centennial that if my driveway or any of the driveways in my neighborhood crack because of what they had bored under a driveway, they're supposed to go 6 feet down under the driveway and then traverse across. They went right under the driveways, and I had the guy from Ting, the vice president, go, yeah, this plastic tube is just as good as the dirt on your driveway. So I take the plastic tube, I go, squish, squish, squish. I said, squish, squish, squish is not dirt. This plastic line is going to create every one of these driveways to crack. So we got the city of Centennial involved. Any of the driveways cracked, we actually got such a good deal on it that it was the driveway from the sidewalk all the way up into the garage. All of that cement would be replaced on Ting and the boring company's dime. And they weren't real happy with me. But I played the statistics role. Like, guys, I'm here all summer. Society wants me back in the classroom because I find things to make right. So, our assignment that you can take a look at, and I'll go over, is going to be page 145, 146. So, page 145, 146. And just a reminder, I will not be here tomorrow.
Why?
Moving!
Again?
Not like, now officially moving. Like, moving truck, stirrups, back's gonna ache. But that's what we got going. I will have a video posted. That video posted